Okay, here we go. I'm live on TikTok and I'm also live on Facebook. I was supposed to start at 7 o'clock. It's 7:03, so I'm 3 minutes late. I'm 3 minutes late, but we're going to get through this. I think it's going to be okay. All right. So, um, hello, everybody on TikTok. Hello, everybody on Facebook. So, look, we're going to do this quick update. Okay. I went live earlier by the courthouse. I went live earlier by the courthouse for the Diddy trial. I did get there a little bit late today. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a few updates from the Washington Post. I'm going to give a little teeny bit of commentary, and then I'm going to talk about stuff that I witnessed today when I was actually there. Okay. So, usual faces in the courtroom, usual content creators and stuff like that, usual news people. It definitely was not as crowded as it normally is in the courtroom today. It was not as crowded, mostly because they didn't really have any, you know, people that anybody was really concerned with. Although the two women that testified today were actually extremely important. So the testimony might not have been like, headline grabbing type of situation, but it was still very, very important. Okay. So, all right. So basically, okay, so I'm going to just start with this quick update. So Judge Arun Subramanian began court Monday morning by excusing juror number 6, whose credibility was called into question after inconsistencies in his statements about where he lived. The juror, a 41-year-old who works at a correctional facility, told the court during jury selection that he lived in the Bronx with his fiancee and daughter. But after an offhand comment made to a jury service staffer and further questioning by the judge, it was revealed that his girlfriend and daughter live in New Jersey and that he sometimes lives with his aunt in the Bronx. The juror also gave differing answers to which home was his primary residence. Subramanian was initially poised to dismiss the juror Friday afternoon, but the defense pushed back against the dismissal of the black juror. Now, I was there on Friday and I watched, when the defense pushed back, and they gave an impact. The guy Xavier, which I saw him today. You guys know I'm in an overflow room. I'm not in the main room. I'm in an overflow room. So, but I saw Judge Xavier today. He is very tall. He's very tall, dark, and handsome. Okay, tall, dark, and handsome. He looks a certain way on the monitor in the overflow room, but he looks a completely different way, child, in person. So that's just a little side thing or whatever. But yeah, so on Friday he stood up and basically was just like, look, he's a black juror, and this is one of the most diverse juries that I've seen in my 25 years of doing this here in the Southern District, blah, blah, blah. But the judge wasn't having it, honey, and he was just like, he has to go. Okay. So it wasn't only him, it was him, it was Agnafilo, and it was also Brian Steele. Agnafilo's argument was basically that there's a difference between the jurors who are on standby, okay, and the actual jurors who are 100% going to deliberate and so that was Agnafilo's argument. Brian Steele's argument was weird because he basically insinuated that everybody knew about this situation with where he lived and nobody said anything, and that just wasn't accurate. That was just not true. Okay. So that's that. All right. So the record raised serious concerns as to the juror's candor, Subramanian observed in his Monday ruling, added that it was concerning that juror number 6 appeared to be shading his answers to try to remain on the jury, a big flag for the court generally. Subramanian also quoted the defense's own words, back to it, that this jury was already among the most diverse to ever serve in the district. Juror number 6 is excused, the judge said. He will be replaced by the first alternate juror. And the first alternate juror, honey, is a white man, okay, who lives in Westchester. He's 57 years old, and he lives in Westchester with his wife. So this is the person who's going to be replacing juror number 6. Okay, so take with that information what you will. it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. And now, on a quick side note about juror number 6, it's by now it's common knowledge that juror number 6 was definitely, pro Diddy. Okay, definitely making little, you know, facial expressions, and not to mention the fact, not Mikey, get down, not to get down. How you gonna hit me back? Get down. These cats are disrespectful. Definitely making little expressions and stuff like that, and definitely admitted that he was a fan of 90s hip-hop, which is fine. Of course you can be a fan of 90s hip-hop, but that coupled with not being very honest about where you lived and this, that, and the third, it was just too much, child. All right, so a chart being presented to the jury focuses on documents involving Christina Coram. Okay, Christina Coram is the chief of staff for Sean Combs. These include text and audio messages retrieved from various cell phones as well as audio files. And it's so funny because people are saying that Christina Coram was not officially testifying in person, but she was all up and down these updates today. Okay. Coram is a vital part of the government's racketeering case against Combs. She's one of the people's prosecutors, and has been painted as a participant in the Combs enterprise, which they contend conspired to protect Combs' reputation and cover up his alleged crimes. All right. Listen. All right. So moving along. The government has been picking its way through a 33-page chart showing conversations between Christina Coram, right, and multiple individuals since 2016. In correspondence with Combs, his assistants, and his girlfriends Cassie Ventura and Jane. Okay, we kind of know who Jane is. Don't mention her in the comments, please. Okay, Coram appeared to be setting up hotels for her boss's freak-offs, as well as coordinating the delivery of thousands of dollars in cash. One set of messages from 2019 seemed to refer to Cowboys and Angels, the service Combs and his partners used to recruit men to participate in these freak-offs, per testimony from Ventura and Jane, who was using a court-approved alias. So this is what it says in the text message. And this is the thing. The defense has, the prosecution has said from the very beginning, okay, that, Diddy used his business to basically facilitate just a whole bunch of illegal activity, the freak-offs, the substance, purchasing of substances, the coercion, the blackmail, okay, the arson, okay, all of this stuff, all right. This is what the prosecution has said from the very beginning. Defense has said, look, Diddy is just somebody who is, he's kind of freaky, and he's been in these, toxic relationships with jealous women. And, how do we know exactly where the money has come from to facilitate these things? We don't know if it's coming from his, from his personal bank account or whatever, or, we don't know any of that, blah, blah, blah. And the staff doesn't know. The staff is just setting up hotels for romantic evenings and stuff like that, right? This is what the defense has been saying all along, okay? We're towards the end now. We're at the end of this trial, and it's looking kind of crazy. Okay, so let me just read this to you. So one of the text messages says, by the way, how long is he going to stay awake? Coram asked in one message to Combs' assistant. Combs' ex-girlfriends have said that the freak-offs, so the hotel nights, typically lasted 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so again, this is the prosecution showing that Christina Coram knows what's going on. She knows what's going on, okay? The government highlighted several messages from Sean Combs' chief of staff, Christina Coram, referring to a person named Guido, who prior witnesses has named as one of Combs' substance dealers of choice. These messages included a reference to picking up a Guido package, or in one case, Coram telling Combs himself, Guido's outside. Okay? Listen. All right. Moving along. In 2017, Cassie Ventura sent a message to Sean Combs' chief of staff suggesting that Combs had just dragged her by her hair and that she didn't feel safe. This is the text message. It says, WTF. And this is what Cassie sent to KK. And KK asked if she was okay. And she said, no, but you should talk to him. Cassie responded, I'm sure you don't want to get involved, but no one deserves being by their hair, she said in a follow-up text. Again, remember, KK's not supposed, she doesn't, she didn't do anything, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. Cassie specifically messaged her and told her what was going on. What was KK supposed to do in that moment? What should she have done in that moment? Is she supposed to pacify the situation? Is she supposed to just smooth things over? Does she not have a moral obligation to, I don't know, go a little bit, I don't know. What should she have done in that moment? What should she have done in that moment? Okay. Again, proving that the staff knew what time it was, knew what was going on. Christina Coram was his chief of staff. She knew what was happening. There's a literal text message where Cassie says to her, look, this is what happened to me. Okay. Tanya on Facebook, hi Tanya, says, just throw him back in jail at this point. He doesn't deserve a trial. And if so, leave him in locked up and proceed, taking up too much time. Look, we're going to see what happens. But, and someone on Kimberly on TikTok said this is a good day for the prosecution. And you're right from what I saw. Okay. If you're watching on TikTok, please give me a follow. I'm discussing this daily. All right. And I'm at the courthouse as much as I possibly can be. Okay. I was there today for half of the day, and I'll definitely be there again on Wednesday. So give me a follow on TikTok. All right. Okay. So moving along. So another message sent to Sean Combs' chief of staff suggests that she was aware that the mogul's ex-girlfriend felt mistreated and actually exploited and didn't want to participate in any more freak-offs or hotel nights. The ex, who testified last week under the pseudonym Jane, sent KK messages in early November 2023 saying that she wanted no more hotel nights, and she said, I just can't. Then, after Cassie Ventura filed her lawsuit a couple of weeks later, Combs himself appeared to forward screenshots of texts he received from Jane saying she felt extremely exploited, heartbroken, and manipulated by you. Combs also appeared to send Coram audio files of phone calls he recorded with Jane in the immediate aftermath of the Ventura lawsuit. Jane told Combs that the lawsuit described, like word for word, her experience. Right? Now, mind you, these witnesses that the prosecution is putting up right now, these are summary witnesses, with the exception, honey, of Brandon. Brandon, right? Is it Brendan? I think it's Brendan, who's going to be testifying tomorrow. Listen to me. He is going to be such an important. Do you remember him from when he was apprehended, when Diddy was on his way to the Caribbean? He had his babies with him, the girls, the twins. He had them with him, and Brendan was on the plane with him, right? Carrying the substances, okay, getting ready to go, to wherever they were going. I think they were going to the Caribbean or something like that. Honey, they took Brendan, and he looked like he had never been through anything like that in his life, honey. He looked like he was petrified to death. That he looked crazy in that mugshot. And we knew that he was gonna flip like a pancake, child. We already knew as soon as we saw that mugshot, and it turned out to be true. Tanya says, as far as co-conspirators with him behind bars and getting ducked daily, he'll probably talk. I don't know. Listen to me. From what I'm hearing about what's happening with him in the facility where he's at, he is, it's not pleasant for him, but he's not getting pressed or anything like that. He's not getting pressed. And remember, Diddy has unlimited resources. Okay. He can pay, people to help him out and, make his time a little less unpleasant than it is for other inmates. Now, going forward, if he's actually going to, serve an extended period of time in an actual, real correctional facility, we'll see what happens with that. And even then, I would assume that he would be able to pay for protection and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But look, it's still unpleasant to be behind bars, right? It's so stylish boutique. Says Diddy ain't letting nobody press him. Yeah, I think that again, he has the resources to make it a little less unpleasant for him than it is for other people. Okay. And yeah, listen to me, Tanya. He's going to be the knot that tied the loop. Look, there were several text messages that were presented in court today that we're going to talk about more, of Brendan and KK text messaging each other and stuff like that. And again, he's clearly flipped because remember, he was caught with a bunch of stuff on him and they gave him zero. Not only did they not give him any time, they didn't punish him. They completely took his, they like, he doesn't have any type of record at all, at all. Okay. All right. So there was a little bit of a break. It says court has resumed and on Ananya Sakar, a paralegal specialist at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, is walking through another summary exhibit showing years of correspondence between Sean Combs' security guard Damian Butler, okay, aka D-Rock, right, and others in his orbit. Over the past 5 weeks, the government has portrayed Butler as part of the Combs' enterprise, a pivotal component of its racketeering case against the music producer and entrepreneur. And this is crazy because everybody was wondering what is going on with D-Rock. Why isn't D-Rock testifying? What's going on? Why isn't D-Rock testifying? Where's KK? Why isn't she testifying? I don't know. Why do you think? Okay. I was live earlier and a lot of people were saying the same thing. They think that as soon as this is done, they're going after them. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I want to see someone else get into trouble. I don't want it like how it was with R. Kelly, right? R. Kelly is where he belongs, clearly, okay? I don't want it to be like that. I want other people to get into trouble too. Like, if you facilitated what was going down, you helped to facilitate it. Women are texting you like, he's done this to me. He's done that to me. We're going to talk about it a little bit later on. Jane text messaged her and basically told KK he's threatening to show these tapes to my kid's father. Nothing was done. Okay, then you need to go down too. They are not. These women are grown. They're not children. Listen, they're not children. But at the same time, right is right and wrong is wrong. Right is wrong. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Okay. So no, they're not children. You know what I mean? We make decisions and stuff like that. But like I said, right is right and wrong is wrong. I think KK and D-Rock weren't given immunity because they're facing their own charges. That's what I'm trying to say. I believe that. I believe they're going to be facing their own charges. Now, we'll talk about, the possibility of them being rebuttal witnesses later on. Okay. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. All right. The prosecution homed in on February 2024 text between Sean Combs, his security staffer, Damian D-Rock, Butler, and Mia, a former personal assistant to Combs. The messages, which were presented in a chart, showed Combs and Butler trying to contact Mia over a period of a week and communicating with each other about their efforts to reach her. Mia, who testified earlier using a court-approved alias, accused Combs of actually, bothering her and corroborated key details of Cassie Ventura's testimony. Says she had witnessed her former boss, harm Cassie in person. Okay. Like she witnessed that. Okay. And this is funny because remember, Mia was on the stand and she was, pulled through the ringer, honey. And, her Thank you very much, Whoopi. Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. The government isn't trying to give those two immunity at all. They want them by their necks. I agree. I think I hope that it's happening. Um, Paul, you said KK from Love and Hip Hop. Love and Hip Hop. Which KK you talking? Was she on Love and Hip? Was Christina Korm on Love and Hip Hop? Child, I only watched a couple of episodes of Love and Hip Hop, or like maybe like a half a season, and that was when Chrissy, the lady with the mole, right? She had put her hands on the one that used to date. I think no, there was the girl that used to date Fabulous, and then there was the girl who came up there and was bragging that she slept with him, and so that's what I saw. So I'm not sure if you're talking about that person. Okay. What bothers me is Diddy can't get a fair trial. That should bother. Hi, Laleen. I saw you earlier today in the live. Laleen doesn't agree with me at all, and it's fine. It's fine. Okay. We're back together talking about this, and it's fine. You don't have to agree with me. Okay. I personally believe that Diddy is getting a fair trial. I do. Okay. I'm a Black person, and I believe he's getting a fair trial. All right. And again, like I said earlier I said in my live earlier, I'm there and I've witnessed the judge, not go easy on the prosecutors. There were lots of things that the prosecution wanted. There was a ton of objections by the prosecution that just weren't granted, and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, that's what the situation is. Okay. All right. So we're gonna continue now. So this is all right. So this is Sean Combs texting Mia. Okay. Now this is after the incident where he allegedly, was thinging her over the balcony. Okay. Hey, I don't want to be blowing up your phone. Sean Combs texted Mia on February 7th, nearly a week after these exchanges began. Just need my memory jogged on some things, Combs continued. You were my right hand for years, so I just want to speak to you. I'm sorry, no, this is a different person. My bad. Mia is the person who was his assistant. I'm sorry, not the one, not Vanna. My bad. Let's rewind. We're talking about the one that was his assistant. Okay. This was another one that was anonymous. Okay. So, all right. You were my right hand for years, so I just want to speak to you to remember who was even around me. He sent security staffer Damian D. Rock Butler a copy of the same text. The conversations took place when Combs was already battling multiple SA lawsuits, including, trafficking allegations from Cassie Ventura. Summary witness Ananya Sankar is now under cross-examination by defense attorney Tenny Garagos. Okay. All right. So defense lawyer Tenny Garagos has been trying to highlight individual messages and time periods to cast doubt on how involved Sean Combs' staff was in procuring substances and coordinating freak-offs for their boss, or intending to the physical and emotional wounds of his ex-girlfriends. For example, regarding a lengthy text message between Damian D. Rock Butler and Combs as they were trying to get in touch with a former assistant, summary witness Ananya Sankar confirmed that there are no records showing Combs calling Mia after February 7th. Okay. So the defense is on their job. The defense is on their job. He has fantastic counsel, like defense attorneys. Fantastic. And he better, because he's paying them a whole lot of money. Okay. People have speculated as to how much money he spent so far. My guess is upwards of at least $20 to $25 million. I could be wrong, but I definitely think it's somewhere around there already. And I'm not talking only about the lawyers. I'm talking about the other people that are involved, just in general with everything. Okay. Sean Combs alternated between stoic and restless during Monday morning testimony. Combs, who was wearing a light-colored sweater and a white-collared shirt, sat straight in his chair for parts of cross-examination. His hands clasped between his legs. He would regularly swivel his head from lawyer Tenny Garagos, who was cross-examining. Kai, I'm on live. Go inside. I told you that already. I told you. I finished my chips. Okay, I'm glad you finished your chips. Okay. examining the government's witness from a nearby podium to other areas of the courtroom. During parts of testimony, he turned and looked towards the gallery or tilted his head to gaze up briefly at the ceiling. Okay, and someone was asking me about this earlier, how he was and stuff like that. Teddy Garagos has finished cross-examining Ananya Sankar, and they are walking the jury through charts showing correspondence of Sean Combs' most trusted staffers, KK and bodyguard Damian D. Rock Butler. Prosecutors have begun questioning their next witness, Liasa Penland, a special agent for the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York, and another summary witness. Okay, so this situation was this witness this whole line of testimony was a little. It's integral and it's important for the prosecution's case, but sitting there listening to this, I was there by this time. I was actually there, okay, and it was very, very boring, child. I'm not even going to hold you, okay, but we're going to talk anyway. The summary chart of the prosecution is now walking through is a big one, aligning the names of Sean Combs, Cassie Ventura, and alleged escorts with flight records, hotel reservations, and videos allegedly taken from the freak-offs. The chart is 71 entries long. Listen, remember, this is a RICO case, and they're trying to show that everyone basically was in on everything to help him do stuff that he wasn't supposed to be doing. Everyone was in on everything, okay? Special Agent Liasa Penland said the chart only shows individuals for whom they have video footage showing that they were at a particular freak-off, which the government is referring to as a meeting for this testimony, okay? And there was a sidebar regarding that, and the sidebar was basically, referring to it as a meeting, okay? So they kind of talked about it for a little bit, but they settled on that. The chart tracking alleged freak-off dates, locations, and participants begins in August 2009 with an encounter involving Sean Combs, Cassie Ventura, and a man who went by the name of Jules. Ventura mentioned Jules several times in her testimony, describing him as a trusted partner in the parties, okay, the freak-offs. Along with the first entry, Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson highlighted a text exchange between Combs and Jules from around that time that appeared to show them working out their schedules for one of these meetings. The chart shows 2 meetings taking place in August and 1 in December, all at the London Hotel in New York. So there was a pause for lunch, and we went back after about it. That's when I went live on TikTok. Okay. Listen. Okay, so we'll talk about this really quickly because this is an update that the woman put. So she said, so far the biggest news of the day hasn't come from the witness stand. On Monday morning, Judge Arun Subramanian dismissed juror number 6 based on multiple conflicting statements he gave regarding his residence and who he lived with. The different answers not only raised questions about his eligibility. If his primary residence is in New Jersey, he would not be eligible to serve as a juror in the Southern District of New York. But his honesty, the judge expressed concern Friday about the juror shifting answers, in which he tried to downplay the discrepancies, and noted Monday morning that the juror may have been shading his answers to ensure that he was on the jury in the high-profile case. Okay. Now, there is another situation with another juror. Okay. And on Friday, at the very end, when everybody was about to go home, they were supposed to, how the defense and the prosecution kind of go back and forth, addressing certain issues and stuff like that to get ready for, the weekend and the week ahead and blah, blah, blah. And the judge sort of like abruptly said, look, there's a sensitive issue. I need to go and handle this sensitive issue or whatever. And he, went to go handle this sensitive issue. And we found out that the sensitive issue was involving another juror that had a situation. So according to TMZ, this was a little bit earlier on, this second juror. This is not juror number 6. Juror number 6 is gone. This person is gone now. Okay. This is another juror. According to TMZ, okay, so take this with however, but there's an issue, okay, but apparently the issue is that this person received a text message from an unknown number, and the text said, "Are you juror number 6?" Okay, listen to me. I don't know what the heck is going on with that. The judge made it clear, you know, as it relates to this second juror, that the situation that's going on with them is not the same situation that happened with juror number 6. Okay. So Tanya said the jury smells shady. They should have been sequestered. They should have been sequestered. I understand why, you know, a judge or, you know, the attorneys don't want to sequester people, because the longer the case lasts, the least likely you are to get a fair, you know, verdict. Because if I'm away from my boyfriend, or, you know, my kids, or my whomever, right, or my wife or whoever, for 2 months, I want to get the hell out of there. I want to go home. I just want to go the hell home. Yeah, whatever. Guilty. All right. Bye. Can we leave now? Okay. Can we leave now? Okay. So this is why they don't like to do that. And, you know, look, it's a huge sacrifice to serve on the jury. And one thing about this judge is he definitely respects the jury. He's very, very, you know, cheerful and happy when he speaks to them. He's like, you know, thank you so much for being here. You know what I mean? Like, he's very, very much like that with them, because he understands nobody wants to do this. Some people want to be on a high profile case, and it's expensive. You're right, Carl. That's a great point. That's a great point. That is a great point. You know, most people don't want to do it. Some people want to be on a high profile case because, honey, you can make a coin after this. You can, you know, write your little book or whatever. You can go on what a Good Morning America or whatever outlet pays. I don't know who pays, whatever outlet pays, and you can make a cute coin off of this. Okay. But most people don't want to do this. And I can tell you right now, either way, no matter which way it goes, if Diddy is, you know, found guilty or not guilty, you know, on some charges, all charges, no charges, mistrial, whatever, however it goes, hung jury, whatever. Okay. If you're on that jury, your whole everything is on Front Street, because as soon as this trial is over, everybody's going to be digging into everybody who was on that jury, and they're going to be bothering them. They're going to be on their social media talking smack. They're going to be maybe contacting their job. They're going to be, you know, trying to dox them. There's going to be all kinds of stuff that happens with the people that were on that jury, no matter how this goes. I'm telling you right now, mark my words. We can come back and talk about this. But they're absolutely going to be doing that. So I can understand why somebody wouldn't want to be on it. Okay, so there's, you know, two sides to this. Do you know that juror number 6 was paid by TriStar, Lou Taylor's company, the woman that put Britney into a conservatorship? Okay, I keep hearing something like this. Please explain further, Paul. Okay, let's put this up here on the screen. Okay, explain a little further with that. Okay, all right. So let's continue. All right. So it says Penland will not be allowed to draw too many inferences based on the summary chart, stating only what was contained in various correspondence and how they align with specific dates, locations, hotel reservations, and travel itineraries. Okay, so there was a sidebar with that. Okay, excuse me. Okay. All right, so let's continue. All right. Jurors are being shown travel and credit card records that will help to establish that Sean Combs bankrolled freak-offs by paying for flights. Several of the flight records being discussed by the agent on the witness stand cite Cassie Ventura as a passenger. The jury also saw the name of a male escort who took part in the encounters. According to testimony, I was there for that. I saw that. And they had the Punisher's photo up there, looking extra muscular and stuff like that. You can do me a solid and send me the video, Paul. But what video is this? You talking about? Which video is this you talking about? Don't send me no tinfoil foolishness, okay? Send me something like from a credible source. Don't send me no tinfoil weirdo stuff, okay? Seriously. How much longer is this going to be? I would assume about another, maybe, what's today? Today's the 16th. It's going to be like about another 3 weeks probably, because they're trying to get finished by the 4th of July. So about another probably 2.5 to 3 weeks, okay? I would assume. All right, so all right, so that was that. Okay, if reviewing a chart of records sounds like dry testimony, it is. I literally just said that. And it's made all the more so because of the limitations in how the prosecution can describe the chart, okay? Requiring them to be very methodical and neutral in the presentation of these documents. And even though it's dry, these are documents. This is proof, okay? So either way, they're proving their case, all right? These include bank statements, hotel bookings, flight itineraries, and text messages arranging to meet in specific hotel rooms at specific times. Before the recess, Judge Subramanian sided with the defense, which sought to limit how Special Agent Dilyasa Penland talks about the summary chart because Penland wasn't at these meetings, which the prosecution is suggesting were FOs. She can't make any inferences in her testimony about what the parties did. She's limited mostly to reading out the various documents, which are grouped by date. And that's exactly what happened. All right. And the defense is right in that regard. They were correct in that regard. Okay. The government played 2 videos that only the jury, the court, and the parties were privy to on Monday afternoon. Listen to me. They showed the video to. If you're watching on TikTok, please give me a follow. Okay. Please give me a follow. And yeah. So they played 2 videos that only the jury, the court, and the parties were privy to on Monday afternoon. I was watching that woman's face while she was on the stand, watching that video, honey. Okay. And it's so crazy because she had her headphones. When have I ever subscribed to unverifiable nonsense? Okay, Paul. Just send it. Okay. Send it, text it to me on my phone. Okay. Hi, Jasmine. There's a couple of these. Let me see. There's a couple of these comments that are not coming up on my screen. So Jasmine, I don't know if you commented, but thank you so much for following me. Thank you so much. So if you don't see, sometimes I can't see. So if you commented something, Jazz, re-comment it. Okay. Now listen, this woman's facial expression as she was watching this video, honey. You ever see somebody that's trying to look like they are not bothered by something that they're watching? You ever seen that in your life? This is what the woman looked like. She looked like she was trying to keep a straight face. You could tell that whatever she was watching was loosey-goosey, like real crazy. Okay. So she was shown some, footage of that. And there was one video that was 11 minutes long. They didn't play the whole video. They just played a little teeny piece of. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Thank you for the stars. Thank you so much. There was one video that was 11 minutes, and then there was another one that was 40 minutes. They only showed about 30 seconds of each one. Okay, they didn't show the whole 40 minutes or anything like that. And you couldn't hear anything or anything like that. And the woman who was testifying was obviously watching on her thing and listening on headphones. And the jury was listening on headphones and stuff like that as well. Okay. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson asked Penland to review specific portions of the videos. And given the sensitivity with which the videos were shared, it's possible the videos were of freak-offs, and they definitely 100% were of the FOs. Sean Combs sent a text message to Cassie Ventura in early 2013 asking if she wanted to celebrate Christmas belatedly with a freak off. In the text message, Sean writes, "You horny?" And Cassie said, "LOL, yeah. Would you want to celebrate Christmas and have a freak off tonight or Friday?" So he's giving her options. That's not funny. All right. He asked his girlfriend at the time before sending another message saying he had her Christmas presents. All right. After Combs reached out to her about the freak off, Ventura contacted an alleged escort named Santiago, one of several the couple had been communicating with. Ventura told him to meet them at the L'Armitage in Beverly Hills. "I'm a bit more actually excited than last time," Santiago texted. "I also know the rules. Dress casual and bring baby oil, right?" And according to the government's summary chart, several other alleged escorts took part in this January meeting. So she doesn't write what they responded to him, because he tried to say, "Oh yeah, you want me to bring baby oil?" And they actually responded back to him and said, "No, that's okay. You don't got to bring no baby oil." And people were laughing in the courtroom, like, not you trying to like, garner favor, try to bring your own freak off supplies. And they were like, "No, honey, we don't need we don't we don't need no freak off, honey. We got 800 bottles of baby oil and 400 bottles of Astroglide, honey. We don't need your travel size of baby oil, okay, honey? We got it, okay." Okay. So it says summary witness Penland has finished reviewing an evidence chart related to the alleged freak-offs, blah, blah, blah. She's expected to return to the stand Tuesday morning to review similar records related to Combs and Jane, a recent ex-girlfriend using a court-approved alias. Okay. So, all right. So that's that. Okay. So we're just going to talk really, really quickly. It's not going to be super duper long. It's not going to be as long as my other lives of 2 hours and all that, child. No, not today. Okay. If you are watching on TikTok, please give me a follow. All right.
Can you help me about Cocomelon?
Ask Daddy. Close the door. Okay. Well, tell him I said to help you. Close the door. Okay. Sorry. All right. So, all right. So today there was a ton of evidence that showed that multiple staff members were all aware of exactly what was going on. Okay. Again, the testimony seemed like it was a little on the dry side, but at the end of the day, it was like literal actual proof. Okay. Literal actual proof of everything that the prosecution has alleged. Okay. Text after text after text after text, email after email, literal receipt, like not like I got the receipts, like no, like receipts, like paper receipts, proving that everybody was in on everything. Everybody was in on everything. Okay. There was even correspondence between KK and Jane about how to help her, like with a hangover and stuff like that. Right. After, one of these nights, and she was talking about, "Oh, you can drink this tea and there's a specific chocolate that you can have," and this, that, and the third. The staff was cracking jokes with each other about the escorts and what they look like. "Oh yeah, you could spot them. You could tell that that's that's an escort," and this, that, and the third. This is the staff text messaging each other back and forth about this stuff. Okay. Everybody was in on everything. Everybody knew everything. Okay. It was a huge elaborate system involving so many assistants to facilitate these FOs. And the thing that really killed me is how elaborate everything was, and how many people were involved. We're talking about it at the very least, at any given time, at least 5 different assistants at any given time. Okay. This is the thing. When you guys see stuff, on like the Shade Room or this news outlet or whatever, most people aren't involved in like the daily minutia of, either the transcripts or they're watching, or really, you know what I'm saying? You're just catching like a little headline. So it looks a certain type of way, but that's not really how it is. Okay. You had one person communicating with another person who's communicating with another person who's purchasing things with the company credit card and calling and texting. And all of this is to facilitate these FOs. Not only that, okay, you know, it's not. This was a huge part of his life. He was doing these free calls like in the beginning. You know, he's probably doing it once in a while or whatever, but eventually he was doing them weekly, and sometimes they lasted days at a time. He was working during these FOs, conducting business on the phone, doing all kinds of stuff while this was going on. If an FO is going on for 2 or 3 days, he has to conduct business. At some point, he's on the phone. Even what's his name? The gentleman, remember the one, Jonathan Odie, how you pronounce it? Remember when he was being interviewed and they talked to him and they said that he would be on the phone conducting business during the freak off? Okay, so this was like his life was the freak offs and the partying. This was literally his life, and he couldn't do it by himself. Took a lot of people to do it. Okay, so that's that. All right, so really quickly, at the end of everything today, the prosecution, talked about the guy Brendan, and they asked, should we let him do the immunity thing? Because before he testified, he has to go on to get up on the stand and swear that invoke his Fifth Amendment right or whatever, and then he's given immunity, and then it's made clear to him that, look, you're testifying, okay, but just because you're up here testifying, you have to tell the truth. Like, if you perjure yourself, like, it's a wrap for you too. So they asked, should we do this before he testifies, or should we do this in the morning? And the judge said, no. Let him come in the morning. So he's going to be there at the crack of dawn, bright and early in the morning, on that witness stand, invoking his Fifth Amendment, right. And then they're going to give him immunity, and then he's going to get off the stand. The same woman who was just on the stand, Special Agent Penland, she's going to get on the stand, continue her direct, and then they're going to cross-examine her. I believe that that's going to probably be the better part of the morning. And Brendan, honey, is going to be testifying in the afternoon, and he is going to spill all the tea, honey. He is going to spill all the tea. We're going to find out some stuff. The reason I know we're going to find out some stuff is we're at the end. Okay, we're at the very end, and the prosecution started with a bang in the beginning. Okay, and I believe they're going to go out with a bang. I truly believe that. Paul said, I'm surprised he's not unalived. I'm surprised too. I'm surprised nothing happened to him. But this is what I believe. I believe that as soon as we saw that mugshot of Brendan, where his wig was to the side, honey, and he was looking out of it, he was like this, looking petrified, scared to death. I think that after that, the government snatched him and put him in protective custody and made sure that he was okay, because they knew that he was a target. You know what I mean? Like, they probably had him in witness protection, or I don't know, whatever. They had him somewhere safe. Okay. And that's the situation. So he's definitely going to be testifying tomorrow. And we're also going to find out, probably going to, KK would have nailed Diddy, in my opinion. Are you saying that she would have had relations with him? And Paige said, Brendan going to nail Diddy. Absolutely, honey. He is going to nail him. Are you saying that KK will, KK, I'm sorry. Get your mind out the gutter. Get your mind out the gutter. You're right. I'm so sorry. Yes. She would have sealed the deal for the prosecutor, but guess they don't need her. He was in a rehab. Oh, he was in a rehab. Okay. All right. Listen, not me saying nailed, like, let me tell you the reason why I said that. The reason I said that is because, it's been alleged that KK kind of had a little bit of a crush on, a crush on Diddy. Okay. This is what was alleged. So that's why I said nails. Okay. Nail. Okay. So, Maybe. Listen, who knows? Look, they were saying, okay, let's just spill a little bit of quick tea and then I'm gonna leave. They were saying that Jane and KK didn't get along, right? They were saying that Jane and KK didn't get along. And, the defense is trying to say that Jane was jealous. Jane was definitely jealous, and so was Cassie, because they both admitted that they were jealous of other women, blah, blah, blah. But what if it was the other way around, child? What if it was the other way around and KK really liked Diddy like that? What if she really liked him like that? You know what I'm saying? Mikey, get down. Between my granddaughter and these cats, these disrespectful cats, please get down. What if she liked him too? What if she liked him? Tanya said they sequestered him. Honey, he was in whatever. He was in the Motel 6, honey, for the past, I don't know, however many months. Okay. So that's basically the situation. That's the situation. Oh, you know what I want to know? With juror number 6, right? And I'm going to talk about who the defense is going to call, who's going to be their first witness. With juror number 6, now that he's no longer testifying, can he talk about the case? Or I guess, do they have to wait until this? If anybody knows this, please put in the comments. Now that juror number 6 is no longer part of this case, this trial, then he's, they gave him the boot. Does he have to wait until after to talk about what's going on, or he cannot? Okay, so I'm assuming he probably has to wait till after. Let me tell you something. It has to be until after the trial. Okay. For a fact, as soon as they say guilty, not guilty, whatever, he's going to tell it. He's going to tell it that was racist. Are you saying that he's going to say it was racist, or you think it was racist that they got rid of him? I'm going to tell you something right now. My personal opinion is that, okay, Paul, you said they have to wait. That does make sense, though. I feel like he'll be in a gag order until the trial is resolved. So I personally don't believe. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand that we live in a redacted melanin supremacist country. Okay, I believe that. Okay, and by that I mean, look who's in office right now and look what's happening. Okay, I don't want to delve too deeply into that. I don't want to piss too many people off, child. But it is what it is. Okay. That being said, the reason the defense wanted him there, okay, is because he could have been green. They wanted him there because he was definitely pro Diddy. You know what I'm saying? They really, really did. And that's what it is. They didn't go super duper hard for him because guess what? If he was there and he was nodding his head and gesturing and making the same faces that he was making, okay, towards the prosecution, you think that the defense would have fought tooth and nail to keep him there? You really think they would have did that? If he was there making these faces, like, you know what I mean, and making it obvious that he was on the prosecution side, you think Xavier would have stood up and made that impassioned plea? He stood up and talked for about like 10 minutes straight. Next was Brian Steele. Then finally I think it was Mark Agnafilo second. And he stood up there for about a good 5 minutes and went back and forth. And then Brian Steele went up there and spoke. You think they're going to do that if they felt like he was for the prosecution? They wouldn't have cared. They would not have cared. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't have cared. You think the prosecution would have went so hard to get him out of there if they thought he was for them? You think they would have done that? Let's be real. Okay. So again, he could have been, no matter, he could have been any race, that part didn't matter. That part didn't matter. Okay. He can be charged if he speaks what he's not supposed to. Okay. Audrey. And that definitely does make sense. Okay. That makes sense. Paul said he's in the crib on the phone with a Newport squealing. Tanya said they might sequester him. Honey, if he knows what's good for him, he better keep his mouth shut. So listen, if you're on Facebook, please do me a favor, share this video. I'm about to get off and go and tend to my grandchild. If you're on TikTok, please give me a follow. Okay. And thank you so much just for everyone's interaction. I had a great time. I'm definitely going to be posting more content. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to go live again tomorrow. I'm going to go live every freaking day talking about this, okay? Because it's fascinating. It's fascinating to see the legal process play out in real time. Like, this is not Law and Order, where the person gets on the witness stand and there's 3 minutes and 27 seconds of testimony, and then we come back from a commercial break and then it's done. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fascinating to see the legal process play out like in real time, you know, every little thing here and there. And let's listen, whatever side you're on, if you're pro Diddy or if you're you know, pro prosecution or whatever, it's very, very fascinating. And I appreciate everyone's input, everybody's I really appreciate everyone's opinion. I don't care what it is. I appreciate your opinion. And like I said earlier, I don't want to be living in no type of bubble. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be, you know, just talking to a whole bunch of people just to agree with everything I say. I think that's very, very dangerous, honey. And then you end up like, you know who, that's over there at MDC, right? When you live in a bubble and you think everybody agrees with you, honey, it's not like that in real life. It really, really is not. Okay. Audrey, how much longer before this 50 Shade of Grey trial will be over? They're trying to wrap it up by July 4th, but they're trying to. Who knows? It might be longer, but more likely than not, you know, it's a federal case. They tend to kind of like not be playing no games with no freaking, like how it was with YSL, and they were there for months and months and months of foolishness, you know. No, this is going to be definitely over probably sometime around the 4th of July. Okay. Because remember, the prosecution can bring on rebuttal witnesses. The prosecution can bring on rebuttal witnesses. So mind you, the defense has their witness list, and the defense witness list was long. And today the prosecutor asked, you know, the judge, look, can we please get the defense list, like a shortened version? Because there's no way it could be all the people that is on that list, and then we're finished by July 4th. And Mark Agnafilo said, no, we're definitely going to shorten it down. We'll have that shortened list for you by Wednesday at 8 o'clock, okay? And Sunday evening, you know, that's the deadline for when they show the witnesses that are going to be for next week. The first witness, or one of the first witnesses, is going to be somebody by the name of Vashta Wilson. You could Google her. She looks like an older Black lady, attractive lady. From my understanding, she was the senior vice president of human resources. And this is a quote that I wanted to just share with you really quickly before I leave. Do you guys remember when one of the assistants was talking about Vashta, and they were sitting there with her, and Vashta was sitting in the office, and she pointed to a picture of Sean Combs, right? And she said, "This is Mr. Combs's kingdom, and we're all here to serve in it." So that's Miss Vashta, honey, okay? And that's going to be either the first one or one of the first witnesses to testify for the defense, all right? One more time, if you're watching here on TikTok, please give me a follow. I'm about to leave and go tend to my grandchild. And if you're on Facebook, please share. I'm going to upload this video to TikTok in a little bit. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate all your comments and all your input and everything. And I will see you guys in the next live. Thank you so much. And over here on Facebook, thank you guys. Thank you for engaging. Tanya said, I'm about to go take a shower. Thanks, girl, for your update. You're more than welcome. And I will definitely be going live. Paul, text me the video that you're talking about. Okay. And Paul, you need to go live with me. Like, you need to go live with me one of these days. Okay. Or come with me to the thank you, Ingar. Come with me to the trial one of these days. We don't have much longer. It's only a few weeks left of the trial. I know Monique is coming with me on Friday. So okay. So I'll see you guys later. Talk to you later. Bye.